4.1, council closed session report, PDS 21-092, potential property disposal. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, the item on the floor, or the motion on the floor will be that the report be received and that confidential direction to staff be confirmed.
Thank you. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gaertner, second. Any comments? Mr. Clerk, call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote for the first item of council reporting of closed session. Mayor Maracas, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys hasn't joined us yet. Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
And Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Second item, 4.2, council closed session report number CS 21-057, minor variance appeal, 21 Golf Links Drive. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion is that the report be received and that confidential direction to staff be confirmed.
Someone like to move that? Councillor Gaertner, thank you. Second. Councillor Kim, thank you. Any comments, questions? Mr. Clerk, call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The recorded vote for the second item of council reporting out of closed session. Councillor Gaertner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys is absent. Mayor Maracas?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Councillor Gallo.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Confirming bylaw. Someone like to move and second that? Mover, Councillor Thompson, second, Councillor Kim. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Kim, Councillor Thompson, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you, Council. Let's just pull up our agenda here. Mr. Clerk, time is 7:04. I'm going to call this council meeting to order. Procedural notes. This meeting will be held electronically as per section 19(1) of the town's procedure bylaw number 6228-19 as amended due to the COVID-19 situation. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the additional items? Councillor Gaertner, second by Councillor Humphreys. Any comments, questions? Seeing no comments or questions, Mr. Clerk, will call a vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the approval of the agenda. Councillor Thompson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Mayor Maracas?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
And Councillor Humphreys. Sorry, I didn't quite hear you, Councillor Humphreys.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. We have community presentations, 4.1, Courtney Paterson, acting youth programmer regarding the John West Memorial Scholarship Award. Courtney, welcome.
Thank you for having me. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Courtney Paterson, and I am the youth programmer with the town of Aurora. The John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award honors the achievements of senior students who attend school in Aurora and are moving on to post-secondary education. Each year, up to 2 scholarships are presented to students who are entering their first year as full-time students at college, university, or the equivalent. Although the winners are not able to be here this evening, I am honored to be able to present the 2021 winners to council. This year's first winner is Christian Scolimiero, who recently graduated from Aurora High School. Christian will be attending Dalhousie University in the fall to begin their studies in Bachelor of Commerce. Throughout high school, Christian earned his Red Cross swim instructor ranking and received a National Lifeguard Award in 2019. Christian's work and passion have led him to numerous volunteer opportunities and have provided a clear path for improving life for those in the Aurora community. Christian's contributions have made a distinct and positive impact through the Aurora community, volunteering for various summer camps, working with individuals with diverse abilities, preparing and delivering food for the homeless population, and leading and facilitating activities as a youth mentor to participants at his community church each week. Christian most recently has become a member of the York Region immunization team in a non-clinical position, supporting the incredible efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19. When asked about receiving the scholarship, Christian said, "I am sincerely honored to be selected as the recipient of this scholarship. Thank you for your generosity that has enabled me to proceed in my post-secondary path. As I complete my education at Housing University, Bachelor of Commerce, I am very thankful in receiving this scholarship, which will positively influence my future." It was clearly demonstrated in his application that Christian has a passion for helping others. Christian's dedication to giving back and positively impacting others in our community and his extensive contributions have made Aurora a better place for residents to enjoy. This year's second recipient winner is Sanjana Arunarji, who recently graduated from Dr. G.W. Williams Secondary School, where she maintained honor roll status through each year of her studies. She will be attending McMaster University in the fall, studying the field of life sciences. Sanjana is a positive presence in our community, where she has dedicated numerous volunteer hours in a variety of forms, such as the Town of Aurora Summer Camps, Lemons for Leukemia, Town of Aurora Youth Engagement Committee, the Salvation Army, Light the Night, In from the Cold, 100 Happy Days, and many more. Sanjana has been involved and led various school and community organizations, including her role as Student and Athletic Council, fundraising for Run for Rhett and other charitable causes, and hosting a bone marrow registry at her school. Sanjana is a significant member of the Meet a Wee group hosted by her school and was a key facilitator in obtaining and donating over 1,300 books to organizations in need. She also sold bracelets and participated in bake sales, with proceeds being sent to Kenya to support different communities. It is evident that Sanjana demonstrated excellent qualities to receive the John West Memorial Scholarship. The community support letters that were provided in her application not only touch on her volunteer efforts, but also include how compassionate, kind, and responsible of a role model she is. When asked about receiving the scholarship award, Sanjana said, "I'm beyond thrilled to have been named as one of the recipients of the John West Memorial Scholarship. This award is one that acknowledges volunteerism, leadership, and making a positive impact in the community, so I am honored to be recognized for my efforts. I have been in awe of the inspiring individuals who have won this award in past years, and I am overjoyed to be joining them. Being selected for this scholarship was such an unexpected but pleasant surprise, and I would like to thank the awards committee and our former mayor, John West, for this award. Christian and Sanjana, the town of Aurora is honored to present you both with the 2021 John West Memorial Leaders of Tomorrow Scholarship Award. Congratulations."
Thank you, Courtney. Council, where I just asked for a motion to receive, if I could just get a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Humphrey, seconded by Councillor Gaertner. If any of you, I mean, hopefully we don't become repetitive, but if any of you just did want to make a comment, just to congratulate to them, by all means, let me know. I'll accept a hand at this time if you like to speak. Councillor Gaertner, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's an honor to be honoring these two students. I'm very pleased. Thank you.
Absolutely, and I think we all agree that it's quite an honor to present this award to them, and to excited to see where their educational careers are going to take them and how they represent the town of Aurora. And we all know that they're going to do the town proud. So, anyone else? Councilor Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to congratulate the two students. Courtney, thank you for your presentation this evening. And it's just so wonderful to hear what they've already done during their high school, and now going on to secondary education is incredible. They're our future. youth is our future. So it's just a wonderful celebration. And thank you very much for your representation of them this evening. It's just a real joy to see and quite an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Certainly, congratulations are in order, and I certainly hope that this sets them off on a good start for their future. And Courtney, I'm sure that you will pass along, council as a whole's congratulations to them. And Mr. Mayor, is there a letter that goes out to them as well on behalf of council or from yourself? But either way, certainly I'm sure you could add to that to carry the comments of council that we all wish them the best and congratulate them on the tremendous year they've had.
Yeah, Courtney's nodding her head, so yes.
There is a certificate that they will receive as well. We just have to find an appropriate time to meet with them for pickup.
Thank you. Councillor Kim?
Thank you. Whenever we have young people, extraordinary young people, performing the way they are and community service and their level of giving, it really reminds me that our future is in good hands. And so congratulate both. And I was really surprised. Christian Scalamiero is the son of a good friend of mine. And so I was just texting the parents congratulations. They never told me, but congratulations to them both.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Any other comments or questions? Before I ask for the vote, I just want to make also, Courtney, thank you very much for presenting this and the congratulations that you brought forward. But also just want to make mention about the scholarship itself and to thanks to former Mayor John West for setting this up. It's a tremendous way to help out our youth move on and have them realize their goals. So anything that we can do to help is always a great thing. So thank you to former Mayor West for setting that scholarship up. Councillor Gaertner. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure that it was Councillor West, former Mayor West, that set this up. I think it was a council that decided to honor him.
And I do not agree with you, but he left it in his will as a to the town, a certain amount.
Right.
You are
Quite so.
correct. You are correct.
We're both right. Thanks.
Yes, we're both right. Thank you. Okay, call the vote. Mr. Clerk, Courtney, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote for the community presentation on this evening's agenda. Councillor Humphreys, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Councillor Gilliland.
Congratulating, yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Councilman with the delegations, we have one, which was the added item, 5.1, Margaret Burns, resident, regarding item 7.1.11, Henderson Drive pedestrian crossing treatment assessment. Ms. Burns, welcome. You have 5 minutes and the floor is yours.
Okay.
We got you. We can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay, thank you. Good evening, members of council and Mr. Mayor. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about a very serious problem of the crosswalk at the corners of Henderson, Tamarack, and Lee Gate. This crosswalk the town installed in October of 2020 has many serious challenges associated with it. I would like to highlight some of these problems. This type of crosswalk is a dangerous solution for a street like Henderson. In the daylight hours, the yellow lights are difficult to see, and in the evening, the drivers don't seem to notice people standing at the crosswalk and drive right through. With the summer now here, the tree foliage has grown, and on Henderson going west, you cannot even see the lights until you are almost upon them. Because Henderson is a very wide road, one of the biggest problems is when cars have actually stopped and people are in the middle of crossing. Often, second car thinks that the first car is making a left-hand turn and moves to the right of the stopped car, drives through while the pedestrian is in the middle of crossing the road. This is so dangerous. Another of the problems is the pole which the lights have been attached to. It is more than 9 feet away from the actual road. And yes, I did measure it. So cars have to be very close to the crosswalk before they can see the lights. Michael Batt and another of the town associates was good enough to meet me at the crosswalk a few weeks ago. And they even witnessed a driver breaking the rules of the road by advancing through the crosswalk while a gentleman in a wheelchair was still in the middle of crossing the road. This is a very familiar occurrence. Even when drivers actually stop, they tend to start to advance through the crosswalk while the pedestrians haven't completely finished crossing. I personally had a near tragic incident happen recently, which has made me far more passionate about the seriousness of this crosswalk. While my husband and I were crossing with our young grandchildren, we pushed the button, we waited for the cars, both going east and west, to come to a complete stop, and we proceeded to start to cross. As I stated before, a car driving west went around the car that had already stopped for us, and at a very fast speed went through the crosswalk, missing my 4-year-old granddaughter by less than 2 feet. If I hadn't been holding her hand, and if she had run ahead of me like children often do, there is no doubt in my mind that she would have been seriously hurt or worse. The driver still didn't stop, and looking at her, you could tell that she was baffled by why I was yelling at her. I did report this incident to the police. However, because of it was impossible to get the license plate, there was little that the police could do. I would also like to point out that although the town has done a traffic survey, that survey is at least 3 years old. I have lived in Aurora for the past 24 years, and I believe that the traffic has increased tremendously over these years. Also, because Henderson is one of the only roads that has no actual stop signs or regular traffic lights on it, many cars and large trucks use this road as a thoroughfare between Bathurst and Yonge Street. I would also like to point out that although there are no large truck signs at both ends of Henderson, many large transport trucks making deliveries to Metro use this road daily. I don't claim to be a traffic engineer. I'm certainly not up on all the rules and regulations that are associated with the general infrastructure and planning of a town. However, I do believe I am qualified to talk intelligently about safety. And from what I have experienced as a person living in this neighborhood and seeing the reality on the ground, is that this crosswalk is not safe. I would also like to point out that a little further west on Henderson, at the corner of McClellan and Baldwin, the pedestrian activated stoplight was installed. This crossing is well utilized, safe, and has greatly improved the walkability of the area for pedestrians. I have a difficult time understanding why the residents only a couple of 100 meters down the road have received a much safer option. I would like to propose that the same pedestrian traffic light be installed at the corners of Henderson, Tamarack, and Lee Gate that were deemed a safer option 10 years ago when the traffic on Henderson wasn't as busy. I appreciate that there would be a cost associated with such a retrofit, but presumably the town has the ability to fund unbudgeted capital projects in a timely manner where significant public safety concerns exist. Thank you for your time and your consideration to this serious safety concern. In particular, I would like to thank the council members and staff members who have taken the time to correspond with me about this matter. Having lived in this town for more than 2 decades, this is the only time that I've ever felt so strongly about an issue so as to have had to contact councillors for help. I am grateful for your willingness to hear my concerns and hope that you will see fit to advance this matter on behalf of myself and the other concerned constituents who live in this area of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Council, first, before I ask for any questions for the delegate, if I can get a motion to receive and refer to item 7.1.11, Councillor Gaertner, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any questions for the delegate? Councillor Humphreys?
To you, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much, Margaret, for joining us tonight and sharing your concerns. They're very, very, very valid. In fact, this concern was brought forward in January by another resident who felt the same way as you, and we had discussed it during a community services committee meeting, and the staff were paying close attention to it and had recognized that more work needed to be done. and your serious concern and what you've experienced has certainly shone an even more important light on getting this done quickly. So looking forward to making this right as soon as possible. So thank you for sharing tonight. I'm thankful that your grandchild is safe and your family's safe, because I couldn't imagine that. It's terrifying. And I just want to thank you for speaking this evening. You did a great job, and we're all listening very closely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gillen.
Margaret, thank you very much for coming in to speak today and explaining your experience. I'm sure that we are going to look closely at making sure that we do have some solutions there to kind of make it more safe. We do have a report that was presented to us, and we are looking at again to ratify. Definitely, we want to see some more lights and more safety there. And I thank you for your emails and reaching out and speaking tonight to let us know how serious the situation is, because we do want to have people feeling safe when they're crossing at a crosswalk. I mean, that's the whole point, the whole issue of having it there. And when I had driven by and saw that there was no arms or anything to indicate that there was a crosswalk, I completely understood how you felt and what you meant. So thanks again.
Any questions?
There was no questions so far, Ms. Burns, but maybe Councillor Gaertner might have one for you. Councillor Gaertner?
Thank you. I know you've taken a lot of time and effort to follow this through. And you did, I'm assuming you read the report from Michael Batt. So do you have any comments on that actual report?
Well, actually, I do. Thank you for asking. I feel that the solution that he is proposing isn't going to be as safe as the one that is further west. The one that's further west, which is a proper stoplight that is only activated by pedestrians, would, in my humble opinion, be far safer. I think that what I've witnessed, like for the last few months, is that even when cars stop, they don't stop for the whole time that you're crossing. If they actually had a red light that they have to stay stopped until the light turns green, which is then making it safe. Lots of kids are riding their bikes across there. There's sidewalks on both sides. They're moving back and forth. Kids are kids. And I don't believe what he's proposed will be a safe enough suggestion or option.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'm also assuming you saw option B, which is
which is the big arms that go across with the extra light.
No, that would be option A. Option B was the pedestrian activated stop lights.
Oh, I didn't notice that one. No, I only saw the A, perhaps, because the only one that I noticed with the diagrams that he had was just the extra arm that went across. It wasn't a traffic light. So if there's an option B, I would very much like option B.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'm just assuming you're here. One should never assume, but I'm just assuming you're here tonight because you feel that the suggestion in the report is not a significant safety improvement.
Absolutely. I don't think that what it has, unless it's the actual lights that are installed, I don't feel that it's as safe as what they have further west on Henderson.
Thank you.
Thank you
for coming.
Yeah. Any other questions for the delegate? Councillor Gillen, second time.
Thank you. Just a quick question, just because I know there's some confusion there about A and B. So in the option A, they were adding some arms. So currently there's no arms, just demonstrating. It just kind of sticks up kind of like this. And then there's maybe a couple lights down kind of on the side a little bit. And so I think the improvement was to add some extra arms to go across and then put lights on one side flashing and lights on the other side flashing on both of the arms that go across. So because they're adding all these flashes that are now going to be over top, do you feel like that is a good enough solution, cost-effective solution at this time that could notify the drivers that there is a crosswalk there, in addition to cutting back some of the trees and the foliage that are actually blocking?
Okay,
People-
my personal opinion is no, that isn't sufficient, because what is currently happening, because it's not a red light, drivers are, like more tuned into understanding what red and green mean. So with the lights just flashing, what the cars are tending to do is they do stop often, but then when the pedestrian gets halfway through the intersection, they feel it's fine. And Michael Batt witnessed this with me, standing at the side of the road. The car stopped, pedestrian started to cross, and then the car proceeded to go through where the pedestrian had already crossed. So now he was on the other half of the road. And like, that is not safe. What happens if the kid turned around and ran back? Or it truly, in my opinion, what would make me happiest, which would make our community happiest, would be an actual traffic light, red, green, yellow, that is activated by pedestrians. I don't think all of the signs that are just yellow that they're putting up are going to do it. They're not going to make it as safe as the one that is further west on the road.
Councillor?
Thanks, Margaret. Appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, just before I call the vote, Margaret, thank you very much for coming this evening. We appreciate you coming out and hearing your input. As Councillor Humphries mentioned, we're glad to hear that your grandkids are safe. I just had one question for you, actually. And so, I mean, we all know that Henderson has speeding issues. We all know that, and we've known that for a very long time. And I'm just wondering, have you given any thought or any consideration to the possibility of maybe having a four-way stop sign instead of just a pedestrian activated light crossing? Because a four-way stop, I think, would also alleviate some of the speed concerns, because it would force people to stop.
I think that would be better than what the proposal is with the drop down arms and stuff like that. I think that I think in one respect it would be really great, because I think it might deter the number of trucks and cars that are using Henderson as a thoroughfare. On a personal note, I back on to almost exactly there, so I can't even imagine what the squealing would be like. But my personal preference, again, would be that the traffic light. But I think that even any kind of calming measures on Henderson would be very much appreciated. And if they went in that direction, I still think that they need to have a proper crosswalk there too. So it could be a four-way stop, but you still need to be able to activate the lights so that the cars realize that it's not just a four-way stop. They have to look for pedestrians.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Do I listen to the vote here, or what?
Well, this one is just to receive and refer your comments.
Okay.
To the item. It's not pulled right now, but generally someone will pull it. I'm sure Councillor Gaertner will pull it for discussion, and we'll probably move it forward to be the first one to discuss it, even if there is something else to be discussed. So we'll get that out right away.
All right. Thanks. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Call a vote, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for receiving and referring the delegation to the item. Councillor Kim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
And Councillor Gall?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Consent agenda, Council. We have 3 items there. Did anyone have a question or wanted to pull one of those items? Otherwise, I'll ask someone to move items 6.1, 2, and 3. Someone like to move that? Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Humphries. Not seeing any questions. I'll call the vote. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the items on the consent agenda. Councillor Gaertner, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Councillor Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Standing committee reports, council, this also includes 7.2, so it's all of 7. 7.1 and 7.2. Are there any items, any questions, any items you would like pulled? Councillor Gilliland.
I just want to vote on 7.1.10 separate.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
No, okay, thank you. Councillor Gaertner?
7.111.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I do want to pull some bylaws. Should I wait for that?
we'll wait till we get to bylaws, but I'll keep that in mind, so I'll make sure that I ask you
Thank you.
which ones you want pulled.
Thank you.
Any other items that any councillor wants to pull? Okay, seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve all items in the standing committee reports excluding 7.1.10 and 7.1.11. Councillor Gaertner, you moving that?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Thompson, second. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the items in the standing committee report that have not been pulled for further discussion. Councillor Humphries, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
And Mayor Marcus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. If we are just voting on 7.1.10, if no one's not going to speak, I'd prefer to just do that first and get it out of the way, and we can get 7.1.10 is traffic calming measures within the one-way section of Center Street. Councillor Gilliland, I'm assuming you do not want to move that, so I'll just get someone else to move that. Is that correct? Or did you want to move it? Okay. Councillor Humphries. Yeah. Councillor Humphries, you want to move that? Seconder, Councillor Gaertner. And I guess I'll call the vote. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote for item 7.1.10 on this evening's agenda. Councillor Thompson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
No.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
No.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries?
Yes.
And Mayor Marcus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Council. Next, we'll move to 7.1.11, which is the Henderson Drive pedestrian crossing treatment assessment. The recommendation out of the general committee was that report number PDS 21-081 be received. 2, that the existing pedestrian crossover installed on the west approach of Henderson Drive at the intersection of Tamarack Trail, Lee Gate be retrofitted to further enhance safety for pedestrian and vulnerable road users. And 3, that the associated cost to retrofit the existing pedestrian crossover identified in recommendation number 2 be funded from capital project number 34518, pedestrian crossings as per the 2014 development charges study. Someone like to move that? Move that. Councillor Gilliland, thank you. Seconder. I'm not seeing a seconder. Oh, Councillor Kim, not second. I was just about to say no second. Thank you. Comments or questions? Councillor Humphries and then Councillor Gaertner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In this particular situation, I probably, since I've been on council, this has probably been one that's really worrisome for me. I've heard of a lot of complaints. And again, this all started, it was installed in October. We had 1 or 2 complaints early November. December, there was some issues with functionality of the light. It wasn't working properly. We had the vendor fix it, broke again, vendor fixed it again. And now we're continuously hearing these major concerns, and I'm really worried. I know we're doing enhancements and we need to be cost effective for sure. We weren't counting on this type of capital expense when we did this initiative, and I believe it was out of our own town review of traffic situations and warrant measures. But I do have to agree with the residents. And I believe Councillor Gaertner mentioned it as well, option B, where you have more of what we have further west on Henderson, where it's a self-serve light. And when that's, pushed, it turns red and people cross safely. I have not ever had a complaint or a worry of that area. And I'm just afraid that we're going to spend this kind of money now and have to go to the further measure to make sure we are providing the best safety possible. And, again, I've heard of a lot of examples here. And I would feel a little bit worried. I know we need to do what we need to do due to, I think there's a traffic calming warrant process that is what staff, I believe, apply. But I would like to see us consider that other option and do it once and do it right, because I do believe, again, I'm just really worried about this area, what we heard tonight, what we've been hearing before. And I just feel like one of the things I did receive from staff is, let's wait and see if people get used to this crosswalk there, and drivers will be more diligent and follow what they're supposed to do. But I haven't heard that change. So I just think it's just due to the traffic, the speed, people in a hurry, and serious things can happen. So I would like to move option B, but I'd like to hear other comments before we do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gaertner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as I said to you before, I've apparently been walking around with pneumonia for the last couple of months, which doesn't help with clarity of thought. And I don't think I did a very good job on this last week. So I'm going to try again. What we have here is approximately 2 kilometers of open road. I wasn't on council at the time, but in 2003, that pedestrian activated light was installed was approved because council recognized that there was already a safety problem for pedestrians, and that's in 2003. So yes, the traffic has increased substantially, and we could do a warrant in the fall, perhaps traffic counts in the fall. But the bottom line here is safety. And finding $205,000, I mean, that is a lot of money that we hadn't planned on spending. But I think that in this case and the situation, that we need to find that money. So the problem with B, which is asking for the pedestrian activated signal, is that it would have to go to budget for 2022, which means we could be looking at a year before we get that kind of signal in. So I would like to ask that council defeat the motion on the table and go to option B, and that we approve the funding for 2021. I think in the meantime, we should put stop signs there. We all know that people slow down and then they speed up again with stop signs. But if you think about 2 kilometers with nothing, at least that would make, I think, the current crosswalk a little more effective. It's a tough one, Mr. Mayor, and I believe Anka is here tonight. Is that yes?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Anka, you would be the authority on this. If we did the improvements to the crosswalk, that are suggested in option A. And then we decided to put, or then we did put up the pedestrian activated signal. Is that money that we would spend improving the crosswalk? Is that just wasted money?
Anka?
Good evening, through you, Mr. Mayor. If we do the improvements in option A, and then we choose to go with the pedestrian activated signal, yes, it's what we've done in option A will have to be demolished because we have to design an pedestrian activated signal. These type of signals have a lot more electrical components. So yes, it will have to be completely redesigned, and what we've done in option A will have to be discarded. However, since last week, we talked to the contractor who put the this crosswalk there, and they said that the cost is not going to be $35,000. It's going to be a lot less for option A. It's going to be only 15,000, 15. This is what they mentioned, looking more into detail and what they have to provide there to enhance the crosswalk. But what we spend in option A will have to be demolished, and we'll have to start anew with a pedestrian activated signal. That's my answer.
Councillor?
Thank you. I was afraid that was going to be your answer. You're pretty familiar with these kind of things. If we put stop signs there, do you think that would enhance the viability of the crosswalk that is in place?
You, Mr. Mayor, yes, it might. It will help. Definitely, it will help. It's a sign that the motorist will have to obey. It will help, but that will have to be a council decision because according to traffic counts, stop sign is not warranted there. Council decides to install a stop sign, we can do it. No problem about that.
Thank you. And that is in the context of the traffic study being done in 2017.
For you, Mr. Mayor, in 2018.
2018. 2018. Well, I'm sorry, I wish I'd asked the resident, but I think, and I'd like to hear what other people think. I think in the name of safety, I think we have to do the pedestrian activated signal. But we don't have the funding. We would have to find it. We would have to find the contractor to do it. So that's going to take some time. But I would appreciate, and I think the residents would appreciate having the stop signs. And the other thing, Mr. Mayor, just to add to the safety, there are no truck signs on Henderson. There are trucks on Henderson, there are no truck signs. But, once a truck is on Henderson, they're not going to turn around and get off Henderson. So I think we need to have no truck signs on Yonge and on Bathurst before the trucks even decide to take that route. Would that have to be a regional issue?
Anka, and I'm not sure, I think, is there a sign on Yonge Street before they turn?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, I don't think it's a sign on Yonge Street because trucks have to access one Henderson Plaza and the store that is there. There is no sign on Bathurst Street because this is a regional road. However, Michael Batt, our traffic analyst, contacted the region and they are already going to install signs on Bathurst, advisory trucks that they cannot turn right on going northbound, right on Henderson or left going southbound on Henderson. That this is going to be installed very soon by your region.
Thank you. And it wouldn't, now that I'm thinking about it, wouldn't be fair to keep the trucks from doing the delivery to Metro, which is not very far along. It's before the curve on Henderson, but maybe trucks exiting that delivery area. Maybe that's where a sign could be placed. Thank you. Again, I'm sorry to go on about this, but if we could vote down the first motion and do option B with, in the interim of getting that pedestrian signal in place, could do stop signs there. I think that would add a lot to the interim safety, and I don't have to say it, but I will, we don't want to see any tragedies on Henderson, especially as it's just been known to be such a difficult road for so long. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, just on time.
Ah.
Councillor Dillon.
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor to Ms. Machell. Henderson Drive, is that designated as a certain road types that's different than other roads?
Anka?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Henderson Drive is classified as an arterial road at this time.
Councillor?
Thank you. And just for the purpose of the public and just explaining what that means versus, say, a simple little side street in a residential area, could you explain the difference between the arterial road and a side street?
For you, Mr. Mayor, a lot more traffic, wider road. This road is has a 26-meter right of way and a pavement of 11 meter wide. It's wider than a small residential street, has more traffic, and because it's an arterial road, certain type of traffic controls cannot be installed on this type of road. So we cannot have speed controls on an arterial road.
Councillor?
You. And from my understanding, the purpose of that designation is for traffic flow. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. It's traffic flow, yes. Because it's one of the main arteries that allows traffic, unimpeded traffic flow between east and west in Aurora.
Councillor?
Thank you. And just about the crosswalk, I'm happy to hear that it's now a $15,000 price tag versus the 35, so it makes it a lot more cost effective. Adding the arms, which I was surprised that there weren't any arms, because I didn't even know crosswalk existed without having some overhead flashing lights.
Thank you.
This is a typical crosswalk that would be installed anywhere to cross, or is this like a specific style or type? Because I kind of feel like it's a crosswalk. It's meant to alert. It's designed to alert drivers so you can cross safely. So is this just a bad design? The way it is now, we're improving it, or is the whole crosswalk itself just not effective for this area, or is the intent of this crosswalk with the arms and the lights, is that a sufficient crosswalk that checks all the boxes to say it's functioning and doing as it's intended?
Anka?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, this is what we installed there is the type of crosswalk, what we call type 2C. And has certain requirements then put in the Ontario traffic manual. And we looked at each requirement and we put there everything. So the type of arms that are protruding out onto the roadway, these are put in the type of crosswalk where it is type 1. So, which has a lot more, it's put on the streets with a lot more traffic, because this type of crosswalk also take into account the traffic counts for vehicles and pedestrians. So that was the reason we chose this type, based on the traffic counts related to vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic. With the improvements, and which we try to put in place here due to the fact that it's not functioning very well. We are looking at type 1 crossing, and we are taking some elements from type 1 and we improve this crossing to make it more visible.
Councillor?
And thank you. And as far as adding to this particular crosswalk, is that kind of like the best that we can do as far as any addition to that would be considered like the best upgrade in order to kind of get that alertness to cross safely on the road?
For you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I think that's the type of improvement that it's the best what we can do for this type of crossing. Keep in mind, type 1 crossing that has the arms protruding onto the roadway is put on a type of roadway that has 4 lanes, 2 lanes per traffic direction. Here on Henderson, we have 2 lanes, but as I said, it is an arterial road and is quite wide for a road that has just 2 lanes. So that's the reason we thought, let's put the arms that go extend within the road, so we make these type of crossings a lot more visible for motorists.
Councillor?
Thank you very much, Ms. Machell. That puts some comfort in me knowing that this particular design is intended for 4 lanes, so it's almost like an added extra protection. As far as you know, the stop sign, I kind of feel like there's a false sense of security on such a busy road that people might inadvertently roll through on a road like that. And the crosswalk, to me, I think seems to be a bit more of a safer way of passage. I would be comfortable with the improvements with the crosswalk that's being presented with us today. And if, you know, obviously to Councillor Gaertner's point, it would take, you know, a while to get a proper push button, full on light stop. And we need to have some improvements now. So, you know, things may change between now and then, and maybe it's, you know, something that we review to see if this has been an improvement or not. And then if we do require that extra push button light, then we cross that bridge when we get there. But based on what you're telling me with these improvements, I feel like this could be the solution we've been looking for. I think it was a stark revelation that this crosswalk was there because people didn't notice it due to the lack of arms and all the shrubbery that's covering the lights. So I think we need to give this a chance. And again, like I said, if this was intended for 4 lanes, then surely these flashing lights should be in people's face to know that there is somebody crossing, just like any crosswalk with flashing lights in our town or another town. So I would be support other recommendation on the floor today.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. And to you, Mr. Mayor Danka, would it be staff's recommendation to install a 4-way stop there? Do you think that would solve the issue?
Danka?
For you, Mr. Mayor, no, I'm not recommending a 4-way stop, but I was asked if this would improve. Possibly, it's another type of control that it's added there, and motorists will submit to this type of control. I don't think it's not warranted, definitely, because you have to take into account the traffic on the adjacent roads, Legate and Tamarack, that is a light traffic. So because of these, the stop signs will not be warranted. But being asked, do you think it will help? I cannot say it doesn't help. It might help, but if I support the installation of a stop sign, I'm not sure.
Councillor?
And I appreciate that. I mean, I'm in favor of trying to fix this. To me, logically, it makes sense to move forward with the staff recommendation. Also consider the reduction in price. We have a budget for it. Having said that, I think we should continue to monitor and perhaps update the traffic numbers, because from the report last week, the numbers are nowhere near to justify the lights. It also says in the report last week, as described in OTN Book 12, unjustified traffic control signals can lead to excessive delay, increased use of fuel, increased air pollution, increased noise, motorist frustration, greater disobedience of the signals, and the increased use of alternative routes in an attempt to avoid these types of signals. So, I mean, to me, that's pretty extensive. My view is we should move forward with this next step. Give it 6 months or so and monitor it, see whether or not it's been improved. Motorists need to be used to something that's new, and take it from there. And then if that doesn't work, then I would agree to explore other options, including the other recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else for the first time before I go to Councillor Humphreys? Councillor Humphreys, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question. The traffic safety crosswalk further east at Henderson and Seton, I think it is. How did we come about that? I mean, it's the same road, and yet there was a different warrant result from that section to the one further up.
Anka, were you around in 2003?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I joined the town in January 2003, so I was a young engineer on my probation. So I don't know how was installed. The traffic counts were not warranted at that time, definitely. I think it was installed through a council recommendation. Council decided to install a pedestrian activated sign signal in that area. So not through the OTM book or traffic counts. They were not warranted at that time.
Okay.
Like they are not warranted in 2018. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, and okay, that's fair. And my only concern, I'll just reiterate it again, is I know we want to try this, and it sounds like it'll be a lot more effective than what's there today. I'm just because the other one, warranted or not, is very effective. We haven't had a complaint, touch wood, no concerns, no serious tragedies, and I hope this doesn't happen ever. But you know, do we want to do this measure, sort of a half measure, almost getting their measure, and then, you know, I know the price tag's a lot lower, which is great, but then we have the further measure where there's, you know, this little more enhanced as the south of the one further east. And forgive me, but did we have a price? I know we have to go to budget 2020 for 2022. Can someone remind me of that? I'm sorry, I thought it was 35,000. I could be reading something wrong. Can through Mr. Mayor, does Anka know how? I know it's not in the staff recommendation, but it is an option. What that would be through you, Mr. Mayor? Is it a lot more, or does it have to be worked out? Is what I'm asking. The
Anka,
budget.
Did you get that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So alternative one in the report has a cost attached of $35,000. It's
Right.
a lot less based on the contractor's latest assessment. It's around 15,000.
Okay. Okay.
And alternative two, which is the installation of the pedestrian activated signal,
Right.
has a cost of $200,000, and we do not have budget for these. We will ask these to be included in the 2022 budget deliberation, or if council wants to proceed with the installation immediately, to have money attached to this option now for 2021.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I had my right options correct. Through Mr. Mayor, I'm going to throw it out there. Do we have any budget resources to go to the 200,000? I know I got a suspicion that we're going to go there anyway, and I hope we go there without any problems. Oh, sorry, Miss Anka would like to speak to you, Mr. Mayor.
Anka, go ahead.
For you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to add that these projects are funded through the DC, and we do not have funds for this signal in the latest DC study for 2019. So we have to find some other funding mechanism for this.
Okay.
Councillor.
All right. Okay, through Mr. Mayor, again, it's just one of those situations that I'm, as been said by my peers, I'm not a traffic professional, but I'm just concerned. I want to just reiterate what happened back in October when it was installed. I did get a couple of residents that live right there, and they still tell me today daily that they just hold their breath because they see so many close calls every day, and cars are stopping in time and doing what they need to do. So I'm just afraid that this is going to be okay, but is it going to be enough? The signaling, further east is doing what it's supposed to do. It's safe. It keeps a red light. It's like a traffic signal light. This will be like a flashing crosswalk. It should do its job. It's just it's just as busy as the traffic further east. And I'm sorry, I say east. I'm sorry, west, guys. Apologies, west. That's so wrong. Anyway, I just thought, Mr. Mayor, if there's an opportunity to find another funding source for this that we can discuss. If not, let's move forward with this, at least at a minimum. But I would love to see this happen as a situation further west, because I do it just bothers me. It was one of those things that came to committee thought, maybe it's just we need to have drivers get used to it, but somehow they're not. They still keep doing these risky moves and thinking people have crossed and they haven't. And I just believe it's the wide stretch of road and the traffic there. And I'm just very concerned. That's all. At this point, listen for any second opinions and then put out a motion. A consideration for another motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Oh, Councillor Thompson, first time.
Thank you. I do agree with Councillor Humphreys that at the end of the day, safety is paramount, and I'm just not convinced that the crosswalk will be the final solution, and that I think that there still be concerns being expressed by the residents in the area, and they're going to continue to ask us to look into this. And ultimately, I think we'll look for further enhancements down the road. I'm just not convinced that the adjustments to the crosswalk will be sufficient enough to address all of the residents' concerns. And as we've always looked at issues, safety is a primary consideration whenever we're making discussions with regards to speed or traffic or road crossings. I'm not opposed to exploring the four-way stop sign. I hear Anka's concerns, but at the same time, those that travel Henderson frequently will know that it's there and that they have to stop all the time, and then it becomes a behavior, and that should, in theory, make it safer. But I'm not opposed of looking at the signalized lights, similar to what's down the way. That certainly would be the preferred solution if safety was the paramount decider. And we said, let's go with the safest option. That would be it. And I'm just not convinced that the crosswalk and the enhancements are good enough. And I hear everybody's comments where they say, let's just go with it for now and reevaluate it down the road. But to me, that's not necessarily a convincing argument, because it sounds like those that favor that have some doubts whether or not that will be a satisfactory solution or not. And so I think we should look at the other options and go with the safest route.
Thank you, Councillor Gaertner, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Councillor Thompson said pretty much everything that I wanted to say. Option A may be okay, but talking about safety, okay isn't good enough. And residents have been asking for years to have a stoplight on Henderson. Somebody stopped me in a store the store's no longer there. I think it was 2009. So this is not a new issue or a new concern. And it was enough of a concern in 2003 to get that other one in place. So I would sincerely appreciate if council would err on the side of safety here. And I know it's money, but I mean, what better way to spend money or find money than to enhance resident safety? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gilliland, second comment.
Thank you. And just to follow up, I do have faith in the fact that crosswalks do work and they are designed to do a certain job. And I do believe that the enhancements will make some improvements. What that looks like, I can't predict. But I think the same point of what we're talking about is just the lack of the budget. And in the report, it says that there are no funds at this time to be pulled from. And so, and on top of that, there would also be an operating cost of $800 a year. I'm not saying that this is not a bad idea to be looking into this crosswalk, but the reality is, to Ms. Machell's point, put it on the budget, and this is what I'm hearing, put it on the budget for a future budget for discussion at that time. In the interim, we need to have some sort of safety measures or an improvement in safety measures in place. And I would feel comfortable with spending the $15,000 to get something up there quickly, and, you know, make a recommendation to put this on the future budget to discuss this late, and we discuss it at that time and approve it when we have the funds available. I have no issues doing that. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Machell, if we were to approve tonight the 15K for the crosswalk enhancements, how soon could those enhancements be installed to increase the safety?
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, as soon as possible, we will contact immediately the contractor and we ask to install those arms as soon as possible, depending on his availability, but we will push hard to have it done soon.
Councillor.
Thank you. So, I mean, with that, I mean, I do like the option that, you know, we can make these enhancements right away. And if someone wants to make a recommendation to put this on a future budget, whether it's 2022 for discussion, to put for consideration, I think that's a great idea. As Ms. Machell had pointed out, there is nothing in the budget right now, but yeah, let's talk about it. Let's seriously look at it then. But right now the solution seems to be a very affordable way of making enhancements immediately.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Kim. First time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ms. Machell, if we go ahead with the $15,000 enhancement and later on we have comments from residents that it's not effective enough, and we go ahead with option B, is there any, does the $15,000 enhancement, will that stay in there as an added reinforcement to option B, or will that be removed? I just want to know whether that $15,000 is going to be put to any or use or have any value at all if we have to go to option B in the end.
Councillor, I'll let Anka, but I think she already responded. I think Councillor Gaertner asked that earlier, and it was like, no, basically whatever we do now would just go to, it would, if we change our minds and do something different, it would be wasted and it would just start over from scratch.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And for that reason, you know, my recommendation would be to go ahead with option B. You know, safety is paramount. You know, whether it be sidewalks or whether it be stop signs, I believe that safety is, you know, I can't put a price on that. Liability is always an issue, and I don't want to have to come back after $15,000 temporary fix or potentially temporary fix and add more to the budget. And I understand that the budget is, you know, is concerning as well, but you know, Henderson is a fast street, and it's a wider street than most, and I'd rather err on the side of caution. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, second time.
Thank you. Through you to Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel. Rachel, you've heard the concerns with regards to funding, that there are no DC funds available, but from your assessment, if council were to decide on the signalized light, the greater cost, how could we fund that so that we could move ahead and get it installed this year?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my recommendation for funding would be the roads repair and replacement reserve, to use the funding from there as it's a road improvement.
Councillor.
Thank you. And would there be any challenges with council approving funds out of it at this time so that we can move forward with it now?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so we would have funds available to proceed with it now. The only concern that I would have is that we are prioritizing this ahead of other projects within the budget. So the roads repair and replacement reserve pays for asset management. If council is comfortable and thinks that this is the right decision to make, then we can make that and we can adjust our budget as we bring it forward in October.
Councillor.
Thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gallo, second time.
Thank you. Through Mr. Mayor to Anka. If we were to move forward with the intersection pedestrian signal, what kind of timing would be involved? Let's say tonight we were to improve that. Clearly, we can find the money. What kind of timing would be involved?
Anka.
For you, Mr. Mayor, we will proceed immediately with the design. So there is a design component. So we need to go for procurement and hire a consultant, an electrical consultant, to design the sign, the traffic signal. And once the design is completed, we can proceed to construction. But given the fact that we need to have go through procurement process, hire a consultant, award the projects, do the design, I would say a good estimate would be complete the design by the end of the year and build it immediately very soon in the early spring 2022.
Councillor.
Thank you. So, 8 months from now, we would have that in there roughly if we were to approve it tonight. And if that's the will of council, let's do it. But if what I've heard, safety is paramount. If we don't do something now and we leave what's there and we're so concerned about safety, you're willing to wait 8 months in the horrible condition that it is right now, doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. For $15,000, something could be done immediately. Even if we move towards the full intersection pedestrian signal, I think it would be a huge mistake not to address the apparent concerns that most of you have tonight. You'd be ignoring that. And if it's true that you're concerned about safety and all of that stuff, you gotta love politics. Then let's at least spend the $15,000 now, and let's fix what we can now, even though we may realize that it's not the best money spent because we'll be doing something else later. But if you are concerned about safety,
I agree.
Let's do that as well. It doesn't make sense to wait 8 months that we're so concerned about safety and leave it in the condition, if it is that bad, the way it is. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm still in favor of spending the $15,000 now. Let's give it 6 months. May very well be okay, and we won't have to spend the extra money. Or spend the $15,000 now if it's the will of council, approve the rest as well. I don't see any logic in moving ahead with the full pedestrian signal and not spending the $15,000 now to improve the safety. It just does not equal to me at all.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Humphries, you already spoke twice. Councillor Gaertner, you already spoke twice. Actually, everyone's spoken twice except for Councillor Kemp
And you?
and me. Correct. Councillor Kemp, do you have anything to add? Second time? No? Only thing I'll add is that to say that let's just spend $15,000 because we're going to do the other thing anyways, I mean, that's quite rich considering how frugal some members of council have been in for other items that are written $13,000 or $15,000. Councillor, I don't understand how you're calling a point of order. I'm speaking about, but go ahead. What's your point of order?
Mr. Mayor, perhaps you misunderstood or putting words in my mouth. That's not what I said. Not all what I said. I said I would vote for the 15,000 now and wait 6 months and then decide.
No, but you also threw it. So let me rule on that. First of all, I'll rule on your point of order. No. Second of all, I stated that you actually stated, and if we want, we can play the camera back. You stated you threw shade on your colleagues and said that if you actually cared about safety of residents, well, then we should just do the $15,000 now. Yeah. And then go on and just do the other one as well. That is exactly what you said. If we want, we can play.
The first part I did say. The second part I didn't say.
Well, I'm ruling against. You can either challenge my ruling or. So no challenge of my ruling. Ruling stands. Thank you. I'll continue. As I was saying, I've seen instances where we've looked at spending being frugal at $15,000 or $13,000. And second of all, our job is to make decisions on behalf of the residents of our community. And there is a safety issue here, and we have to look at that very closely, and we have to make sure that we make a decision. Sometimes we take the expert opinion, and we make that decision based on that. But sometimes we make decisions that are in the best interest that we believe for our community. I'll use the example of John Westway. We put a stop sign there. That was not recommended by staff, but we did it as a council. Why? Because we believed it was the best thing for our community. It was safe. It contributed to a more safe environment for people traveling on John Westway and for pedestrians walking around in the area. And so we made that decision as we are elected to do. And so I think this is another instance where we need to make a decision. Doesn't mean anyone's wrong or right. It's the decisions that we believe that we need to make in the best interest of our community. But I think to throw it on whether it's someone's wrong or someone's right, I think that's the wrong approach that we need to take. I think what we need to do is look at what do we believe. So I'll call the vote. And I'll remind everyone what's on the table right now. Mr. Clerk, can you put that up for everyone, please?
To you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely.
Everyone see that?
Oh, it's too small. Hold on.
So just to, I won't read it out again, but this is for the option A, the 15,000 now. That would have the enhancements. That's what's in front of us. Call the vote, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recorded vote for the GC recommendation for 7.1.11. Councillor Gallo, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
No.
Councillor Gaertner?
No.
Mayor Maracus?
No.
Councillor Kim?
No.
And Councillor Thompson?
No.
Motion's defeated.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councillor Humphreys.
I'd like to put a motion forward with a caveat, if that's possible. I'd like to invoke option B, which is the full signal activated pedestrian crosswalk. And until then, we shut this one down, we cover it up, and there's no more crosswalk until there's a full-fledged, safe way to cross the road that will not harm people, because this interim solution could hurt someone. We heard from the residents, we heard from other residents, and if someone is with me, we shut this down because residents have asked me before to do that.
Councillor, so let me just get a motion on the floor if you want to speak to it. So did anyone want to second that? It would be to go to the option B with the full pedestrian activated crosswalk, with the caveat that this wouldn't be covered up for the time being until this crosswalk is put up. Councillor Gaertner, would you second that?
I'm not sure. Could I have some clarification? Would we go forward? Excuse me. Option B says that this is going forward to the 2022 budget.
No, I think that what Councillor Humphreys is intending is that we do this
come now.
immediately as what the discussion was around the table. I think she's just
Yes.
using option B as she's just.
Want to move forward with.
So I
Right
think
now, yes.
and
Okay.
Councillor Humphreys, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think you're proposing is that the fully active pedestrian activated crosswalk be approved immediately, I guess, with staff covering up the existing one until the time that the new crosswalk is constructed. Is that basic? Okay, Councillor Gaertner,
Absolutely.
did you
Well,
want to second that?
that was my suggestion at the beginning of this item, but I think we should consult with the residents to see if they want it covered up. I don't know how we would do that, but this resident has never mentioned anything like that. I don't know. I would like that to
Well, I
be
think that-
decided.
Okay, so maybe you can second it, and what we can do is we can have Ms. Van Leeuwen, can we recheck? Because I know would it be bylaw that would cover it up, or would it be ANCA?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, I see Anka is on, and I believe it would be her team.
Okay, thank you. Anka, could we just, if this passes, could we just cover it up, and then if residents do reach out and say that no, they would prefer that this just stays open while we do, could we just simply uncover it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes. It is operations who will help us cover it up. And if we need to, if residents are reaching out and saying that they want to use it, we can do that. But we can cover it up and don't use it until we have design and we start construction and we have a safe traffic signal there.
Thank you. So I got a motion on the floor. Councillor Gaertner, is that all?
Yes, that's fine, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you. I'm certainly supportive of the first part of the motion. I'm not so sure about the second part and covering it up because I just don't have any information or what the implication or ramifications would be to that effect. And so through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Desario, Patricia, is there any cause for concern with us covering up that crosswalk and from a liability perspective? I'd love to hear your opinion on this, and I know it's short notice, but anything you could share would be great.
Ms. Desario?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I was in thinking of it, I do think that there might be a bit of a concern. This is a policy decision, and residents have come forward and said that there is an issue. So council does have to do something now about it, given its financial means and the residents' concerns. But now covering up the crosswalk, so sorry, if you would do it with your doing something about it, that would limit council's liability. But now covering it up could now potentially be seen as council not doing anything about it. And if there is something that should happen, there could be liability against the town in thinking about why did it take so long to do the other retrofit or the other part that you wanted to do. So I do have a little bit of concern of the covering of it up.
Councillor?
Thank you. And then through you, Mr. Mayor, to Anka, I guess, Mr. Waters isn't here, so to Anka, I guess from staff's perspective, if council votes in favor of the signalized intersection, then would you, from a staff perspective, feel that it's a good from a staff's perspective, recommend covering up the crosswalk or leave it alone?
Anka?
For you, Mr. Mayor, it's a tough question. we had an instance when we got an email from operations with the pictures attached that someone put a board on the poles saying unsafe crosswalk, don't use it. And we asked operations to remove that. And but that told us that residents are not comfortable using it. They don't feel safe using it. So hearing our solicitor's opinion, that might be an issue. I don't know. I was feeling okay to say, let's cover it up and not use something that people feel not safe using it. Now I don't know. I would cover it up, to be honest.
Councillor?
Thank you. I appreciate your opinion. And I just, it's also, I guess, the time in here, it is summer and we don't have as many meetings. I mean, normally I would feel more comfortable if we just ask for a report back just to get some feedback on the situation, just so we have a little more information to make a well-informed decision. But, I recognize that we may or may not have a meeting until September. And so, that second piece is a bit of a challenge for me. So, happy to hear if anybody else has some concerns or comments around the table. Certainly supportive of the first part, and not so sure about the second part and covering it up at this point.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Humphreys.
You, Mr. Mayor. I know that I'm not sure if we've done many crosswalks, but we've done parking changes this way. We cover, areas so that we just, don't do this. It sends a clear message. The way it is right now, the residents feel it's very unsafe. We heard from residents that even the retrofits that we want to do to this isn't going to be the ultimate goal, that we want a fully fledged safe crosswalk for this area. So for me, we're sending a clear message is we don't want them to use the crosswalk. Go back to the way it was October last year. It's not that old. It's just been put there. And people haven't used it, I think, just because they feel it's unsafe. So we put it on there. We're doing something about it. We are working towards it. I certainly hope we can look at that 8-month gap. It seems a little bit, I don't understand why it takes so long. So if we can somehow speed that up, that'd be wonderful. But for me, let's do the right thing the first time around and stop anyone from utilizing this walk until it's safe.
Thank you. Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. As far as the budget for the signal crosswalk, I'm just curious through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Rainwhite Kessel. You had mentioned that we put some other things ahead of other priorities that were on the roads in reserve, and I was wondering what those items are. Council does not have a fulsome idea of what we're actually putting ahead as a priority that could be equally as important. Do you have any kind of idea of what we would be pushing in order to push this through now?
Margaret Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So as part of the budget process, we first have to take a look at the reserve balance to see if we actually have the room to be able to accommodate this without moving any projects. But as to which projects would move, we would actually consult Ms. Machell because it would be her professional advice we'd be looking at as to how to prioritize those repair and replacement projects.
Councillor.
Thank you. To Ms. Machell then, your professional opinion, putting this on the docket now and pushing some of the other projects, which I'm sure you're very intimate with what's going to be done in the next upcoming near future. Are there some projects that could wait an extra year that wouldn't be affected too badly by pushing it to the following budget?
Anka?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure. I worked with the financial team and I push a few projects as much as possible. I was thinking that looking back, I don't want to say something that I might regret later, so I have to be very careful. I might be able to build this traffic signal from savings from other projects. And that means that might not impact future projects, because we have savings mostly from the fact that we do not spend all the contingencies amount on projects, and we have savings on quantities that we implement. So it might be possible, I have to look into it. I'm pretty optimistic that we might find some savings in such a way that we can build these from the R&R reserves in such a way so we don't push other projects further in the future.
CEO, did you want to add to that? I see you jumped on.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through just further to Anka's comments, while I certainly appreciate Anka's the effort she would make to basically scrounge the money from other projects and so on, I think from the purposes of for the purposes of a decision, I think the point was that typically by adding $200,000 to the capital list, would bump the lowest thing on the list, that we have, would bump it down into another year. And I'd rather keep the conversation in that frame than have a decision be made on the basis of finding the savings from other projects and so on. There is, regardless of what we're successful in doing, I think the possibility exists that basically the list that we would present to you in 2022 would have one less project on there that might have been on the list. So it's not about what that specific project is. I think it's too early for us to determine what that project is, because we review that list every time before we come back to council. Even though you've seen multiple lists, that order might change given new priorities that emerge throughout the course of the year. So I just wanted to sort of help Ank out with it. We can't know what exact project is being pushed off the list, if you will, if we don't have the 200,000. But I think that if in the absence of savings, in the absence of other little pockets of money or things like that, that is notionally what would happen, is that our list would just be, that one project shorter, or two small projects shorter, and those lists would presumably show up the following year.
Councillor?
Thank you very much. I appreciate the clarity there. So, it's kind of what I assumed. I just wish, again, like we had more time to get more information about the decisions that we're making, especially with the budget and where we're getting the money from, and what we're actually going to push in order to make this happen sooner than later. It is unfortunate that we do take that break in August and we'd have to wait till September. But for me, I just like to have a little more information. As far as covering up the existing crosswalk, I admit I never thought of that idea, which I think it's kind of a great way to kind of say, don't use this anymore, but to our legal advice, it's not recommended. And I just think it would be really hypocritical to have this crosswalk stay as it is while we wait for this signaled thing. So I kind of revert to to spend the $15,000 now to have a safe crosswalk while we figure out where we're going to get the money for this other signaling thing. To me, I have no problem with supporting. It's just, where is it coming from? What are we sacrificing? What are we pushing over in order to make this happen? And I would have liked a report back to kind of show us where this can come from and what we need to do to get there. And I think that, to Councillor Gallo's point, was, let's put some safety measures in now and figure out the details and how we can get the proper crosswalk in later. And I just don't know, based on, I guess through you, Mr. Mayor and Ms. Desario, the liability of covering it up would be a risk to assume. Some people may think it's still there or not there. This is I'm just trying to understand, if council's direction was to cover this up, what are the risks that could happen to the public and to as far as liability?
Ms. Desario, I think the question was already asked, but Ms. Desario, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. It almost sounds like the risks of covering it up are the same risks of having them there. I know, having the crosswalk there. So I know that's not really helping, but it's accidents can happen. It's like you said, somebody knows that the crosswalk is there, so and now it's covered up, but they still think it's there, so they use it, or they don't use it, and someone else sees that it's not there. So then they don't use it properly. So it's as Anka said, it's difficult to figure out.
Right.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'm kind of at an impasse because I just kind of feel like leaving the crosswalk the way it is just not acceptable. And covering it up, I mean, it's also another liability. So it's crossing each other out, and I feel like we're at square one, and we still have this 8 months of ambiguity of what we're waiting for safety. And I agree with Councillor Gallo. I think that $15,000 solution to have arms, and I trust the crosswalk is designed to work so people can cross the street safely. That is the point and the purpose of them. And the fact that we are putting improvements or had the opportunity to put improvements on a crosswalk that was meant for a 4-lane street, I think is a great addition to what the town could offer in the interim. So I would be in support of the first part. The second part, I don't even know. Like, I just feel like we shouldn't have turned down that first one. And here we are trying to, there's 8 months there. We need to have some sort of resolution. And I'll leave it to my council members around the table, but I would rather see an amendment to say, go ahead with the 15,000 and then have staff report back on budgets and on the $205,000 option 2 and where we're getting this money from, so we can be well informed in September and possibly go forward with a design and going ahead with that. That would be a motion that I would like to recommend.
That would take into consideration, Councillor. We already voted it down.
So I couldn't add.
Nope.
I couldn't add.
So it'd have to be a vote for reconsideration.
Okay, so at what point would I ask for a vote for reconsideration?
You could ask for a vote for a reconsideration at this point to add that as an amendment if you'd like, but I mean, sure.
Okay, so I can ask for a reconsideration and, to our original, the $15,000 solution and move forward with the option 2 and report back with the budget implication, like budget and how we're going to pay for that and
but realistically that's almost contrary to it, because you're asking what's in front of us right now is for us to move forward with this immediately, approve it immediately. And what you're asking for is for the 15,000 to be reconsidered, which would be a reconsideration. But then you're being contrary because what you're asking for is that we push this to budget and have it come back to us, and which is not what's on the table at this moment in time. And so therefore, if this gets defeated, or if it passes, if you wanted to make just an amendment to add the 15,000 and go ahead with that immediately in combination with what's being presented on the floor right now, that I would allow as a reconsideration, because then it's not contrary.
So then
you'd be doing both. You'd be doing both things immediately. You wouldn't be asking for this to go to budget.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so then I would rather see the 15K added, to be quite honest.
Okay, so we can do a reconsideration if we like, but we need 2/3.
Add the 15 plus the 2K, right?
Yeah.
Like you said.
Yeah, so you'd be doing both of them all at one shot.
That's right.
Okay. Would someone like to second the reconsideration? Councillor Gaertner? Are you trying to say something, Councillor Gaertner?
You're on mute.
I have a question of clarification to the clerk.
Sure.
As we don't, this is council, but we ratify anything at council with the confirming bylaw. It's not been ratified yet. So could we not add that amendment?
No, Councillor, yeah, we actually had a recorded vote. I understand what you're saying, and I to a certain degree, and because I saw that clerk's nodding, I would agree to a certain degree, but essentially we had a recorded vote, so therefore we would need to have a reconsideration of that vote.
Okay, so for clarification, what we're doing is we would, at the end of the day, we would have a motion that would approve going ahead with the pedestrian activated signal. And in the meantime, we would spend the $15,000 to make the crosswalk safer. Is that what the motion would end up being?
No, so all we're doing right now is asking council to reconsider to allow for us to put an amendment in regards to the $15,000 again, since we voted it down. And at that point, I'm assuming that Councillor Gilliland will make an amendment then at that time to add that we move forward immediately as well with the $15,000 enhancement in combination with what is on the table at this time. So therefore, we don't need to cover anything up. We would immediately do the enhancements, and then we would also move forward immediately with the approval of the pedestrian activated full crosswalk.
So the intention to Councillor Gilliland, if I, for you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gilliland. No, but the intention is to, at the end of the day, do them both in the name of safety. And we would in fact be wasting $15,000 in the name of safety.
We can have, Councillor, we can have that discussion once the amendment's on the floor. Right now, I'm gonna ask for a reconsideration vote. I need 2/3 to reconsider this.
Oh, this is so confusing.
All those in favor of the reconsideration? I need hands up high so I can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against? 2. Mr. Clerk, I believe that passed.
To you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is 2/3.
Thank you. Councillor Gilliland, now you want to put forward an amendment, correct?
Correct.
And
So
the amendment is to move forward with the $15,000 enhancements immediately?
I would want to do that, yes. But could I also say with the 200,000, since this has been approved to be reconsidered, so at least have some sort of report back where we know where we're getting this $200,000 from?
We're getting it from the repair reserve.
What we're pushing, like where we're going to, obviously, Ms. Machell and Mr. Nadarozny can't really pinpoint what we're actually pushing, but should we not at least have something to kind of say this is where we're going to move stuff around in order to make this work?
Councillor, I think if that is in your motion, I mean, Mr. CAO, if you want to bring that back in September, that's fine. But I think that if you put that in right now, I'd have to say it's probably going to fail, because that's going to stop it from being what is on the table, which is immediately approving this.
Yeah.
That's why I said anything that differs from that, then it's contrary, and I can't allow it.
Okay, well, again, like I said, I would rather see the 15. I'd rather see the 15K spent now and give some improvements to the current situation. And then I see the will of council is to move forward with this signaled crosswalk, but I think leaving the crosswalk without having any enhancements to it is dangerous, and it's a hazard, and it's a liability to let it sit 8 or 9 or 10 months, because there could be some delays with absolutely nothing. And I don't think covering that's going to be the problem, because some people are going to still know that it's there. And I think that could actually cause more confusion. And so I think it would be only right for us to do something now, and the will of council.
Councillor, I need a seconder on your amendment.
Okay, so I need a seconder to add the 15K now in addition to the signal light.
So what's on the floor right now? So this is an amendment to add another clause to immediately move forward with the $15,000 enhancement. Mr. Clark, I see you jumped on.
But I would remove the second part of covering it up.
We'll take care of that. So, Mr. Clark?
We see it?
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So the amendment is to remove or to add we're calling it the improvements identified in option A be implemented immediately. Is that the amendment, the gist of the amendment?
I think so, Councillor.
Yeah. Could we see the whole motion though?
Oh, we'll get it up. We'll get it up.
We'll put the amendment up now if that's what's on the floor, and then if it carries, then we'll put it into the whole motion, put the whole motion up. If the part about removing the crosswalk is currently in the motion, I would suggest that be.
I'll get that done as a friendly amendment, Mr. Clerk, if we can do that. So if we can get up the amendment, I still need a seconder for the amendment. Councillor Gaertner, thank you. There's the amendment that the improvements identified in option A be implemented immediately, which is the enhancements that were originally $35,000 and Anka told us it's $15,000 now. So that's basically what we'd be passing the original recommendation by passing this. And then there'd be the add-on of the original motion that's on the table right now. So that is what's in front of us right now as an amendment. Okay. Everyone got it? Councillor Gallo to the amendment.
Thank you. Now, as I said before, it's not my preferred option, but considering what I've heard and the votes that have taken place, it doesn't make sense to me to leave it the way it is for 8 months, as I said before.
Thank you, John.
It equally doesn't make sense to cover it up or remove it for 8 months with the liability that's been mentioned, albeit, you know, off the cuff and not giving our solicitor a lot of time to spend on it. But and I'm a little concerned that some council members don't. Well, I don't know whether that's an issue for them or not. It has been in the past. So considering all of that, I think it's the best option on the floor to move ahead with this. And it's already kind of been decided to go immediately towards the protection pedestrian signals. And let's just get it done. I hate ad hoc because these type of things happen when you decide off the fly, especially when it comes to safety. Mistakes happen, but this appears to be the best option.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson to the amendment.
Thank you. Through you to Mrs. Machell. Anka, if we go ahead with the spending of the dollars for this option A, and then subsequently in 8 months, we go with the signalized intersection, is there anything that is salvageable in this option A that could be utilized going forward, or is there nothing salvageable?
Anka?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't know. I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't know. It's something we will definitely try to use as much as possible from this option to option B. But I don't know. I would go with the fact that nothing is salvageable. But definitely, I don't know. If something is, we will take this into account when we design the option B, but I don't think it will be something.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Desario. Patricia, when we brought you into the discussion earlier, you said with regards to covering up or not covering up the crosswalk that you felt that, you know, the risk is on both sides. If council were to approve this option to at least implement these measures and then later went to a signalized intersection, would this make you more comfortable and address the any concerns of liability?
Doug, Machell, or Patricia, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, it would make me feel comfortable. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
Councillor Humphreys to the amendment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate the amendment, and I'm very thankful that it's a lower cost option. And I know it didn't make sense to many about covering up the signs, but I have been in personal contact with many residents, and one in particular since November, and she begged me to take that down, just to cover it up, to do anything, because she felt that the use of it was going to cause something tragic. So I mean, I know it doesn't make sense to us in some ways, but as someone who lives there every day, she'd love to know that it was not a working crosswalk. But if this is an instep between, 15,000 is very well spent if we feel it's going to make a bit of an improvement. And the ultimate improvement, the ultimate safety is what we're going for tonight. Thank you. Thanks to Councillor.
Any other comments, questions to the amendment? Call the vote. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote regarding the amendment on the floor. Councillor Gaertner, how do you vote?
Sorry, yes.
Thank you, Mayor Maracus.
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
And Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
The amendment carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Back to the main motion as amended. Councillor Humphries and Councillor Gaertner, are you fine with removing the what you wanted that for it to be covered up?
Yes.
You got a friendly amendment? Is that fine?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll make that a friendly amendment. So, Mr. Clerk,
Can we
we're
see
good. Can we get the
Call the vote.
Can we get
No,
the
no, let's
full
see it.
one sec? Can we get the full council? One sec. Can we get the full motion on the screen, Mr. Clerk? Thank you.
Absolutely. We will put it up. Just 1 second.
Everyone got that? Councillor Gaertner, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay,
What, just 1 sec, please.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing anything further, I'm going to call the vote on the main motion as amended. Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the main motion as amended as is currently on the screen and a recorded vote for that. Mayor Maracus, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
And Councillor Humphries.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
No.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes.
just point out the happy face that's on my wall?
Okay, that I'll accept the comment, but I need Councilor Humphries going somewhere else. But thank you, everyone. So we're going to move forward. We still got 3 items as far as motions, so we need to continue. Want to make sure we get finished before we extend the hour. 9.1. Councilor Gaertner, this is yours. Increase signage for the Arboretum.
Thank you.
I would expect you're moving as is.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Would someone like to second this motion? Councilor Gilliland, thank you. And Councilor Gaertner, just before you speak, I just want to say thank you for sending out those examples to council. So
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
And
Councilor.
you'll see from those examples that the print is very, very small and at the bottom of the. So the suggestion is to put signs at the beginning, at all of the entrances. And I don't think there's a lot of entrances. I don't think it would be a lot of money. I don't think Mr. Downey's here this evening. And there was another sign that I didn't send, which is basically the picture of a bicycle. And it says, it can say go slow, yield to pedestrians, but something that's kind of in your face. And I'll send that along. And I did speak to, if I could, the Arboretum people, let's just say, and they have had problems in the past when their volunteers aren't there and somebody will come up and they won't be aware and almost have had accidents. So thank you. I think this is just a sensible motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions on this motion? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you. Just some comments. I did have a tour with John and Irene, and they did mention the cyclist as well and how it could be very dangerous. There's a lot more people walking the trail than ever before, especially during these times. I think it's great because more and more families are discovering the Arboretum. So I think this is a really great addition to ensure that, you know, cyclists are aware that people need some proper space and safety when it comes to cyclists. So Councillor Gaertner, thanks for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Certainly supportive of the motion. You know, as we just spent some time talking about the importance of safety, I think this just continues on that vein, and certainly appreciate Councillor Gaertner bringing it forward, and I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Hey, Councillor Gaertner, did you want to finish up before I call the vote?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as with many things that we present at council, this came from a resident, Janet Matthews. I have heard from many other people about this, but she is the one that put the time and effort into contacting council and helping me understand how serious the issue was. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk? Call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Court vote for motion A on this evening's agenda. Councillor Kim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Mayor Maracus.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Council, just
Let's
nod
do
your
it.
head. Yeah, look, keep going through. That's what I was going to ask. We're at 8:58. If everyone wants to just keep going through, we'll keep going through.
Oh, is that okay?
So it looks like it's okay. I'm not getting any nods of the head saying no, so we'll keep going through. All right, next motion, we have 9.2. Councillor Gaertner, this is also yours regarding development plan adjoining major transit station areas and stable neighborhoods. Would you like to move it as is?
Yes, please.
Anyone? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you.
Councillor Gaertner, floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, I've been thinking about this for a long time. And then when we had the public planning meeting with the development on Bursey, it just was very clear that, yeah, we do have the promenade plan, but even the official plan consultant said that we need to tighten up or put more in about the shoulder areas. And this is a shoulder area. We wasted a lot of time. And then we had, I don't even know what we had. You had at the end saying you'd like to see townhouses there. That's not very intense development. I mean, I don't know, but I think we should figure this out. And I'm not sure how we would do that. I did speak with Mr. Waters, but he said that, you know, the promenade plan governs it, but it's just, we need to have a more fulsome plan of what we want to see for this area. And it's a very important area because of the GO station. And it's a very important area because it borders on a large, stable neighborhood. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'd appreciate hearing what other people think.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this one? Councillor, oh, all lit up. Councillor Thompson first.
Thank you. You know, I appreciate the intent of the motion that Councillor Gaertner is bringing forward, but I just think that, you know, this is a byproduct of the process we're going through right now, whereby, you know, we're spending time to develop the official plan. And I would assume out of that, we would also revise the promenade plan as well. And so I see this as a natural result of going through our planning policies and refreshing them as we are doing now. Certainly, it's very much top of mind. We're very cognizant of it, both from the provincial mandate as well as the potential applications that are before us. And I would rather go through it in the proper process, dealing with it through the OP and any revisions we make to the promenade plan as a result of the OP. And so, you know, I think that it should stay top of mind, but I'd rather see it go through those channels as opposed to be a separate initiative.
Councillor Gillen.
Thank you. When I saw this motion, I thought, wow, that's a great idea, because as you know, we have a couple of developments that are happening on Bursey Street. One hasn't really been before council as of yet, but we do know that it's a work in progress. And, you know, we did have some residents come to council and state their piece about, you know, shouldering on stable neighborhoods and pointing to council on how we're going to protect them and how it shoulders. I think Councillor Gaertner does make a really good point. And while I recognize that intensification should occur adjacent to, especially somewhere like the GO train, it has to happen in the MTSA area. It makes the most sense. Having those guidelines and how it would transition from specifically a stable neighborhood makes total sense. And, you know, again, I don't want the developer wasting their time and planning and staff and doing all this hard work and thinking, okay, this is a great plan. And then we have a pushback, which is a fair pushback. And I think it's not something it's something a little rare, because our stable neighborhood thing was just passed. It's been a long time since we've just addressed this, probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 20 years or so. And we finally got this passed, and here we're up against some intensification with our development. So I do think it's important to have some sort of a plan. So at least developers, staff have some sort of guideline or some way to address that transition without ambiguity, and knowing what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. Because right now it's very confusing as to what is and what's not. And I think this is a very helpful tool. And if Mr. Waters was here, I would ask him if this is something that could be, you know, reviewed and put together and brought back to council in a timely fashion. And that would be kind of in tandem with the applications that are going to come before us. But I guess he is not here. Can somebody answer that question, or a staff member answer that? Oh, Mr. Waters, you are here. So is Mr. Mayor and Mr. Waters, is this something that planning could do or create that could come in time for council when we're faced with these new applications that may be before us in the near future?
So Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say that the promenade plan, the policies do address stable neighborhoods in terms of the 45-degree angle plane that's required for new development. With regards to bringing something forward now, my preference is to have this type of plan prepared as part of the review of the promenade plan. Because I think it shouldn't be done in isolation. It should be done together with review of the policies of the plan, so that we can prepare a development plan or tertiary plan that we can present to council, which is essentially one sort of way of potentially developing the promenade. It's not the be all and end all. It just shows one version of how we could develop the promenade plan based on the policies of the document.
Councillor?
Thank you. And a question follow up on that. The promenade plan, I'm assuming that is something that'll be under review in the next, year, 2 years? And then from there, like, explain the process by the time it would actually be approved.
Councillor, we approved an update of it, but yeah, correct. Ms. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, you're correct. You presented a motion, I believe, last year to initiate a review of the promenade plan. So we're looking at staging it we want to make sure the OP is done and all our focus and energy is on your official plan moving forward. We have retained SGL to then undertake the promenade review and do a community permit plan system as well. We're just starting that now in terms of the background work. So my suggestion is, that this development plan, which is a current policy in the promenade plan, be developed and formulated as part of the review of the secondary.
Councillor?
Thank you. So again, I just, if you don't mind, just be a little more clear, you are working on it now, but as far as like coming back to council and, having a plan, the promenade plan kind of design, I mean, obviously you said you wait for the OP. The OP kind of triggers the promenade plan review anyway. So are we looking at like 2-3 years by the time it actually there's a rubber stamp to say this is kind of what we've approved moving forward, or is this a lot quicker?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Now, it is going to take some time to work through the promenade plan and undertake public consultation, both with residents and stakeholders. There is a policy in the promenade plan today that in lieu of a town-initiated comprehensive plan, that the developer or applicant prepare a tertiary plan for their specific area and abutting lands. So my advice is to rely on that for now until we can get a comprehensive plan for the whole promenade developed and present it to you.
Councillor?
Okay, perfect. Okay, so there is that policy in place now that kind of, I guess, outlines some of the expectations shouldering on these stable neighborhoods to kind of guide them. As far as planning is concerned, you know, being faced with some of the plans that we've been presented that, you know, didn't come across as favorably to some of the residents shouldering. Do you feel that that current policy that we have in place was taking in consideration the way it was meant to?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The applicants will mold their project according to what they see fit. And sometimes they will look at the official plan and they will incorporate, for instance, the 45-degree angle. They will identify any other requirements. But in some cases, they feel that those are inappropriate for them to deliver the project they'd like to, so they'll modify it according to how they would like to see it.
Councillor?
Okay. All right. So I guess as a follow-up to Councillor Gaertner's point about wasting staff's time and developer and whatnot, understanding that it's the will of council to, I guess, request certain changes that we may feel need further adjusting based on the shouldering situation that might be unique. So we do have that option. And in your opinion, Mr. Waters, on a planning purpose, that's something expected as far as a staff level of work that would be involved with that negotiation or that comments or feedback?
Mr. That's correct. Yes, we will look at the existing policies regarding interface with stable neighborhoods, and even there's even a direction in the current plan regarding environmental protection as well. So we will look at those and make improvements to them.
Councillor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. My questions were asked and answered and basically revolve around well, staff's view of this, and while I agree with it, it's timing and the best time to do this because it's very specific for us to actually develop a plan, and without staff input, you know, I wouldn't have been able to support it. And Mr. Waters has confirmed that we'll be doing it during the promenade update, and that's sufficient for me.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gaertner? Second.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I understand about doing it in the official plan because the promenade plan is part of the official plan. But then we have the timing issue. And it was just, I mean, I haven't rewatched that public planning meeting. I'm not sure I want to, but I don't think that anybody at the table was in agreement with what was presented to us. So I'm just trying to find a way where we can have more specific parameters for developers and for us. And could that not be developed and then inserted into the promenade plan?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in my opinion, the promenade plan in the official plan contains, it almost at times reads like a zoning bylaw in terms of the standards and criteria required to be followed for developments within the promenade, depending on what designation you're in. one thing I think you need to be aware of is that this development plan or tertiary plan is not a legislative requirement. So you may have difficulty enforcing it. It's just one view of how the plan could be developed based on the policies and the criteria within it.
Thank you, Solars. Councillor Gaertner, can I just give a recommendation to you if you don't mind?
Yes, thank you.
How about at the end of your clause, because after hearing some of the comments around the table, a few of them, I'm just wondering maybe if you added as part of the review of the promenade plan. Because I think that no matter what staff come back with, you know how long it took for the stable neighborhood. It would take just as long as for the review to finish as it would for us to get something on the table in regards to this. So therefore, it should go through the review pen. That would be my recommendation, but I'll leave it with you.
Thank you. And I guess that's in a way an unspoken part of the process. So, I mean, I could add it, but what I'm trying to do is avoid what happened with the Bercy Street development. I mean, if anybody has any suggestions.
Well, I do. The developer should follow our official plan. Plain and simple.
Okey doke.
I mean, I don't think.
So, yeah, because it wasn't one of anyone's better meetings. Okay, let's add that at the bottom, as you suggested, Mr. Duran, to get that. I mean, it just ties it off. It just ties it off neatly. But
I agree, and I think what it does is just speaks, so it allows staff and our committee work to utilize this motion and direction from council to make sure that this is part of the work that goes on in the official plan and the promenade plan. So I think it's important for us to have that in there. So
and I just would like to well, nobody was on council then, but we passed the OP in, I don't know, September 2010, October 2010, and it didn't get approved till 2012. So not only did we spend all the time doing all the work, and it has to be approved by the region, excuse me, and the province. So, we could be talking about years here. So perhaps it's something we could just think on in the meantime to be a little more specific to the developers.
So as a friendly amendment, you're adding as part of the review of the promenade plan to the end of the motion. Is that?
Why? I mean, why not? That would happen anyway, but why not? It ties it up.
Let me ask the seconder, Councillor Gillian, you okay with that? Okay, so that's friendly amendment. Okay, so any other comments or questions? Before I call the vote? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the second motion on this evening's agenda with the friendly amendment that you identified. Councillor Gilliland, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
And Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Council, now we'll go to 9.3. Councillor Kim, this one's yours. Stop signs and crosswalk installation, Machell Avenue and Irwin Avenue. Would you like to move as is?
I'll move as is, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Someone like to second this? Councillor Humphreys, thank you. Councillor Kim, the floor is yours.
Thank you. This intersection has been an item of concern for the residents here for the last 2 terms that I've been on council. We weren't able to do anything for them in their previous request, and the problem seems to still persist. Essentially, Machell is being used as a bypass to Aurora Heights, but it's really a dead end. And so that's the main concern. And because there's only one stop sign going west on Irwin, there's a lot of confusion in terms of who stops, who doesn't. And, the safety concern is is mainly with the residents who live on that street and those who park there to use the nearby courts or the fields there. And so, quite simply, let's get rid of the confusion and just make it an all-way stop sign. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson and then Councillor Gallo. Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you. Just for clarification, just so I understand Councillor Kim's intent, he's just asking for staff to report back, and I assume for staff then to do the typical testing and warrants to see whether or not this intersection merits these things, and then provide that report and recommendations, no different than we've seen with others, most recently the conversation around Henderson. Is that correct?
I believe that that's the intention, but Councillor Kim's nodding his head yes, so yeah.
Then through you to, I guess it's Mr. Waters. Mr. Waters, is that your understanding of the motion before, that you would then task staff to conduct whatever review it is of that intersection and do the applicable traffic counts and so forth, and then come back with a data-driven report on whether or not the intersection warrants it and what the staff recommendation is?
Mr. Waters?
For you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct, Councillor Thompson.
That's fine. Thank you. I'm in support of the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. That was my question as well. I just wanted to also hear from Mr. Waters whether September is the appropriate timeline for that.
Mr. Waters, is September sufficient enough time for you?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it may be a little tight. The other concern that I have is the volumes and the fact that, we are in a COVID situation, and that traffic volumes have not returned at this point in time. So I'm wondering if we can wait and do the traffic counts, in September, October, and then report back for the end of the year. I think that would be a better, provide better information for council at that time.
Councillor
Gallo? If that's staff's recommendation, I'd try to see whether we can accommodate that if Councillor Kim is willing.
Councillor Kim, are you okay with that?
Well, I mean, I was speaking to Michael Batts last week, and he stated that the traffic studies would be done in September and would be able to come back with a staff report by October. He's familiar with the intersection. He just needs to get the traffic count done, and he believes that he can get that done in September and have the report completed by October, unless Mr. Waters has had another conversation with Mr. Batt. That is my understanding.
Okay, and just so we can clarify, the motion speaks to the report back September, and you just stated October. So
October is fine, but Mr. Waters said end of the year he felt more comfortable. But I'm fine with October to make that change. But I don't think November or December is necessary.
Okay, Councillor Gallo?
It doesn't matter to me the timing, as long as staff has enough time to do it whenever they can get it done.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll just go back quickly. Mr. Waters, if it was October, would that be doable?
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, if that's what Mr. Batt has communicated to Councillor Kim, then I'm fine with that.
Okay. Councillor Kim, you're okay with right now at the September? You're okay with changing that to October as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and I had Councillor Humphreys as a seconder, I believe. Councillor Humphreys, you okay with that? Okay, thank you. Councillor Gallo, anything else? No? Okay, thank you. Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. Through Mr. Mayor to Mr. Waters, I'm just curious as to whether or not there was a petition that was submitted advocating for this. I just don't recollect seeing any emails on this issue at all. And I want to know if there's something that I've missed other than the one that we just received today.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of a petition that was submitted to the town. I understand there has been an email stating some concerns from an area resident who represents a number of homeowners in the area. That's my understanding.
Councillor?
Thank you. And has any data been collected at all on this intersection to your knowledge, or any older data available?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of any counts that have been undertaken in this area for the street or intersection.
Councillor?
Thank you. And do we know if there's a sign that's already located at that intersection that says it's a dead end street?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe there is a no exit sign that is yellow that is located just north of the three-way intersection on Machell, on the east side.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'll be interested to see what solutions are being presented. Just the fact that there isn't a lot of residents that live on the north side of Machell from Irwin, and a lot of people use it as a turnaround point. As far as a stop, I don't know if that's something that's going to work as a traffic calming measure, since there's no sightline issues. Is there such a thing as a sign? I think I've seen them select signs in certain areas around, whether it's York Region or Toronto, that would say, if you're entering Machell, saying exit to southbound Yonge Street only. Is there a sign that like that could exist? Because from my understanding, when you drive up Irwin, you're not supposed to be turning north off of that exit.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we can create a sign to that effect, but once you approach, or you get north on Machell, I mean, and just before you get to the intersection, you do see it's not a big no exit sign. Perhaps we can enlarge the no exit sign, but then you see a fence and basically you can't go anywhere. So, I mean, if drivers are paying attention, then they will see the signage.
Councillor?
Thank you. It was more or less to kind of avert people from choosing to actually turn down Machell off of Wellington altogether. If they saw a sign that said exits to Yonge Street southbound only, and then people will realize this doesn't go to, they're not waiting to go all the way down to that stop sign to find out. Do you know what I mean? It's already been a little bit too late. So I just think that might be a proactive approach. If we're reporting back, and this is like specifically what we're doing just to find out information, I'm okay with that. I just had no idea that there was an issue because I didn't see any particular emails coming back and forth or a petition. So it'll be interesting to see what you come back with as far as solutions or traffic counts and what it would merit. But I would hope to see a bunch of different additional recommendations, like whether it's additional signage or whatever it is that staff comes back with. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Before I call the vote, I know this area, we've been seeing lots of issues even from last term before the development occurred. There's parking issues, there's traffic issues. We have a lot of people cutting in and out from there, whether they're coming in from Yonge Street or whether they're coming in from Wellington. We recognized these problems when that development was being put in front of us to discuss. Obviously, we all know that we've never met a traffic analyst that has said that there's going to be traffic problems in any development application that comes before us. And so we are with what's being in front of us right now in that area. There's also, a lot of volume just from people looking at going into the park, and they're just parking along there as well. So there's traffic coming in from that. So there's actually a lot of traffic on those two streets. So I'm looking forward to seeing what staff come back with. Councillor Kim, thank you for bringing this forward. I know that there's a bunch of residents that have been talking about this since last term as well. So thank you for bringing this forward. Look forward to seeing what staff comes back to us with. Mr. Clerk, call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for Councillor Kim's motion on this evening's agenda. Councillor Gallo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Humphreys?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
And Councillor Gaertner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. New business. Councillor Gaertner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are we going to designate the Sisman building on Bursey?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my understanding is that property is listed, and the Heritage Advisory Committee need to score the property, which I don't believe has been done yet, but they're in the process of doing that.
I believe they did do that. Councillor Humphreys, I think, is still here. I believe they did all of the buildings, and that was the only one that was worthy of designation.
Yeah, I don't know if I may.
Go ahead.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Thanks.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Councillor.
I was going to say, I know that there was a meeting held with Mr. Waters and the chair of the HAC. I could not make the time frame. I'll be contacting Mr. Waters because there is, in fact, we did in fact have that done. And it was missing from the reports, the staff report. There was a decision made incorrectly that the policy moving forward for designating heritage buildings was to go with the way we are starting to look at them from the consultant's view, but that policy hasn't been changed by council. So no one can change policy except for us giving direction. So I'll be following up with Mr. Waters and getting that corrected and having that building needs to be designated. This is not new. It was done last year.
Thank you.
So, but there'll be more to follow on that.
Thank you.
Councillor?
Thank you. That's very helpful. Mr. Mayor, I put in a motion about starting our meetings with land recognition. I'm sorry that we haven't done this earlier, but my motion wasn't accepted because apparently and thankfully you're working on land recognition for council to open our meetings with.
Yes, correct. We're just about finalized it.
So we should be able to be doing that in September.
Yes.
Yes, and I was having difficulty finding exactly the right words because we absolutely have to find, and I know that was part of your issue. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else, Councillor? No. Councillor Kim, new business? No. Councillor Gilliland, new business?
Just a quick question. I understand there's some vacant spots that are available on the anti-racism task force, and I was wondering if applications or some sort of open availability for people to apply, is that something that's going to occur?
I believe so, but Mr. Clerk, I believe that the applications are going out for those vacant spots and as well as a vacant spot on HAC, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. They'll be in the paper this week and on social media soon.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, perfect. Also, just I guess a quick question, Mr. Mayor. I know you've been advocating for stage 3 with your Greater Toronto, your GH, whatever your mayor's group. And I'm just curious as to our state of emergency and whether or not you have considered when to be lifting the state of emergency in Aurora moving forward as we, are more vaccinated now than ever before. So are you considering some sort of preparedness or steps to lift the state of emergency here as we move along in this vaccination process?
So yes, the GTHA mayors and chairs have had conversations in this regards, and I'll keep everyone up to date. We're debating on what we're going to do moving forward. We'd like to do something in combination as a whole area. So I'll keep everyone informed as we move forward, and I'll let everyone know once we decide to make a decision on that.
Thank you. And so when you're saying collective, not all municipalities have declared a state of emergency. So just on our own accord, just Aurora alone, is that not something that, we'll have a conversation? Do we have a plan in place, or is there something written in our emergency preparedness or a process and the boxes that we check to say, okay, I think it's time to lift the state of emergency in Aurora?
Yes, and we're having those discussions currently, and once we decide whether we're going to lift the state of emergency, I'll let council know before it's made public.
Do you have some sort of timeline that you could let us
At this time, no. Councillor, at this time, no.
Okay. Okay. I guess the third thing is I've noticed there's been quite a few grand openings lately, which has been great to see that some businesses have been opening through COVID, which is fantastic. As councillors, I really wish I had the opportunity to welcome them and be a part of that, or some groundbreaking openings that have occurred. So given the stage that we're in, and we are in step 2, and obviously step 3 is going to be accelerating, our council members going to have the opportunity to be invited to welcome these businesses and these other opportunities and entrepreneurs that are breaking ground?
If the third parties invite, we only send who the third parties ask.
Pardon me?
We send who the third parties ask, councillor.
Okay, so you're saying that council's only invited to the grand openings if they say they want us there? Is that what you're saying? Or because in the past we would just get an automatic invitation to like a business that was opening. It was kind of in our purview if it was in the schedule.
Yes, councillor, we had restrictions in place with only a limited number of people, and quite frankly, those people should be afforded the opportunity to attend a groundbreaking are the people that own the business and their family. It's more important about them being there.
I'm not suggesting that they don't have the opportunity to choose who they would like to have outdoors or indoors. All I'm simply asking is, will council have the opportunity to have that invite extended, since it seems to me that we have not. And just given the fact that we are in stage 2 and entering stage 3, it seems appropriate that, we would have these opportunities to also welcome new businesses and whatnot, should the opportunity be there. But I feel like the opportunity hasn't been necessarily presented as an option. At least I know myself, haven't been sent any emails or invitations. And I don't know if that's just because our process is in place to say this is how we're going to do things because of COVID. But at some point, I would like to be able to get out in the community, just like everybody else, and in those opportune times to welcome people to Aurora as they open up, and wish them well in their business moving forward. So I'm just asking for some clarity as a councillor, so at least I can be a part of that process.
Mayor's office sends out invitations. During COVID, there's restrictions, and therefore we're limited to the amount of people that can show up. So if all of council cannot be afforded that opportunity and extended that invitation, then no councillor would be extended that opportunity or invitation. We can't pick one councillor over another to show up.
I understand what you're saying, and I respect what you're saying. And I'm sure that there's ways around of, we're allowed so many, whoever replies or something or other, there's always solutions. For me, it's just affording the opportunity and understanding when that opportunity will present itself.
Council's always made of aware when there's an opening, when there's no restrictions in place. Thank you. Councillor Gower, new business. No. Councillor Thompson, new business. Councillor Humphreys, new business. Councillor Gaertner, did you have something else to add?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is neither new business or public service announcements, but I would like to thank Mr. Neil Asselin. He's, I believe, resigned from some of our committees, and I would like to thank him for his energy and his thought and his heart that he's put into his work to try and make Aurora a better community. So thanks to Mr. Aslan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor, I just have a couple. The majority of the clinics in York Region are walk-in for first dose as of today, or as of Monday they were. So basically anyone that's looking that still needs a first dose, that still wants to get a first dose, they're able to just walk in without an appointment now. And as far as our numbers, 80% of York Region residents have received first dose, and we are at 63. It's actually probably a bit more today, but it's 63% fully vaccinated in York Region. So we're moving along very well, but we still need to remain cautious. We are moving to step 3 as of Friday. More things are opening up, which means indoor activities. A lot of events are going to be able to occur. But we still need to remain cautious. And I say that because I just remind everyone, if you look at the numbers today, there are 2 cases in the town of Aurora today.
Oh.
And so that's just, I think that's just a reminder that we need to continue to be cautious. It doesn't mean that we need to panic. We just need to be cautious, continue to use common sense, wash our hands, maintain some distancing, and don't touch your face. And if you do those things, I think really we'll continue to see zeros across the board, and we'll continue to move forward in a very positive direction. And as those vaccine numbers continue to rise, it'll be a very positive rest of the summer, I think, for the town of Aurora and for York Region. And I think we have a lot of exciting things planned moving forward as long as we continue in this direction. So that said, we'll move to bylaws. Councillor Gaertner, you wanted something separated, pulled?
Yes, could you call 11.2 William Graham Drive and 11.3, which is Mavernack, for a vote? And I have some questions on 11.4.
Okay, so 11.2 and 11.3, pull them separately for a vote.
Thank you.
And you have a question on which one?
11.4.
Okay, so how about we get your question out of the way? Go ahead with your question on 11.4.
Oh, thank you. This is to Mr. Waters, and this is with respect to the new definition of the landscaping strip. I can't quite make sense of this, and I'm sorry, I just noticed it this evening. So the landscaping strip definition that we have in our zoning bylaw, the only change to that is it says may include some minor elements such as decorative stonework, et cetera, and it remains that in a landscaping strip we can put retaining walls, and yet it doesn't agree with what we have as a landscaping strip from our update of the zoning bylaws. And in that it says landscaping strip, strip of land solely for tree planting, shrubs, flowers, grass, et cetera, et cetera. So just vegetative things. So Mr. Waters, could you help me out with that? Because they're contradictory.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, pardon me. So we've added a new definition in section 2, which is landscaping strip, which was based on the input we received through the public process, specifically council. I believe, the comments were to, make sure the strip was just a strip and didn't have any other hard materials, hard paving materials, or any other kind of landscaping, such as retaining walls, and that the strip was solely to be used for planting trees and nothing else, trees and shrubs. So it's exclusive. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, it's exclusive of all the other items that are listed above it under landscaping.
Councillor.
So I'm just misreading the bylaw. Where it does include under the definition, it is keeping the retaining wall. Sorry, the only change that was mentioned to the definition of a landscaping strip was adding some minor elements, and the rest of it implied that the rest of the definitions from section 2 of the OP stands. But We also have that we're adding that a landscaping strip is only to be used for vegetative purposes. And so I don't understand which is which. What are we going to be allowing in future development?
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we have two distinct definitions here. One is landscaping, which also includes trees and shrubs and flowers, et cetera, but also includes retaining walls, curbs, et cetera. While landscaping strip, which is solely to be used for planting of trees and shrubs and vegetation. And not to include the other items that are a part of the landscaping definition. So there's two different definitions.
So when a developer comes forward, how will they know which is which?
Well, what the bylaw, through you, Mr. Mayor, what the bylaw does is identify a need for an inclusive landscaping strip. And depending on the frontage, it varies. But that strip is solely for tree plantings and shrubs and other vegetative matter, not to include hardscaping, stonework, retaining walls, et cetera.
Councillor?
Thank you. I'm obviously missing something here. So in the 3 meter and the 2 meter strips, we are only going to be allowing, that you brought forward in the former report, we're only going to be allowing vegetation.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so council will do 11.1, 11.2, and 11.5 right now. Mr. Clerk, I need a mover and a seconder. Mike, Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Humphries. Mr. Clerk.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to be clear. I thought Councillor Gaertner wanted 11.2 and 11.3 separately. 11.1, 4, and 5 were good together.
Yes, thank you.
No, oh, yeah, that's right. We've just discussed 4. Thank you.
So
this is for 1, 4, and 5. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for bylaws 11.1, 11.4, and 11.5. Councillor Humphries, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
And Councillor Gaertner.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries and the bylaws pass.
So we'll do 11.2 now.
Yes, please.
I need a mover and a seconder, actually. Mover, Councillor Humphries, second, Councillor Kim. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record a vote for bylaw 11.2 on this evening's agenda. Mayor Maracus, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you. Councillor Gaertner?
No.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gallo?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
And Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
The motion carries, the bylaw passes.
11.3.
Mr. Mayor, that's the Mavernack Wellington development.
Someone like to move that? Councillor Thompson, second, Councillor Kim. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for bylaw 11.3 on this evening's agenda. Councillor Gaertner, how do you vote?
I vote no.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Humphries?
Yes.
Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Councillor Gallo.
No.
The motion carries and the bylaw passes.
Thank you.
Clerk, we have no closed session, confirming bylaw. Someone like to move the confirming bylaw. Councillor Humphries, Councillor Gaertner, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Record vote for the confirming bylaw. Councillor Thompson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Kim?
Yes.
Councillor Gilliland?
Yes.
Councillor Gaertner,
Yes.
Mayor Maracus,
Yes.
Councillor Gallo,
Yes.
and Councillor Humphries.
Yes.
The motion carries and the bylaw passes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good
Motion-
night, everyone.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gaertner, I would assume you're seconding that. All those in favor? Opposed, that carries. Have a great week, everyone. Stay
Okay.
safe. Councillor Gaertner, I hope you feel better.
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good
Bye.
night.